Hi, it's Money44 here, and today I'm going to take a look at upgrade parts from Slong. When considering upgrading your replica, the first question we should answer is what we will use it for. What power do we need, rate of fire and accuracy it should have. And then the selection of parts begin. And here the problem also arises. What to choose? When browsing forums, you will often find information that, for example, the piston of this manufacturer is recommended, and a barrel from that one, and a cylinder from another, and so go on. But what would happen if you took everything from one manufacturer? After all, in many cases, they offer all the necessary upgrade parts. I thought about it for a long time, and today, thanks to Slong, with help from Taiwan Gun, I got all the necessary parts to answer that question. Thanks for providing it for my review. My canvas will be my proven Piston Arms SAB12, in which I do not hide, I mounted a too long nozzle and now it doesn't fit BBs. But let's see what I will be installing.
Polymer piston, a very nice cast of the piston body made of durable polymer. The holes are nicely finished. The full metal strip itself sits quite tightly, but it will not hurt to glue it in. In addition, the sides of the teeth are straight, which may in some cases scratch the cylinder. Aluminium piston head with bearings. The head has very large vents, but compared to other aluminium piston heads I've seen, it has a slightly smaller diameter and does not have a guiding O-ring in the front part. And I don't think it's a mistake, but a deliberate action. When moving forward, a lot of air enters through the large holes, which pushes the O-ring against the cylinder walls, thanks to which the head does not touch the cylinder and will not scratch it, at least in theory. Polymer cylinder head with an interesting design. Instead of a normal bumper and O-rings, it has one element that fulfills both tasks, and sealed very well, which we will see later. The sealed aluminum nozzle is about 21.12 mm long. In combination with Slong hop-up chamber, it's supposed to give the best results. The second type aluminum cylinder, as you can see, is painted in characteristic orange color. As you can see in my cylinder, it's slightly imperfect in one place, but it does not interfere with its performance. It has ribs to help with cooling. The edges themselves could be better finished. They can be clearly felt under the finger, but they are not sharp enough to damage, for example, a neutral glove. Rotary hop-up chamber, polymer body with a aluminum knob. More on that later. 300 mm steel barrel with a diameter of 6.05 mm. Interestingly, thanks to appropriate cutouts at the window, it's adapted to work with both GBB and AHG replicas. It is nicely made and has grooves for O-rings stabilizing it in outer barrel. Additionally, in the set with the barrel, we get a hop-up backing. It has ribs on the outside, which should improve this seal, and quite interesting contact element, similar to a solution from another manufacturer. We will see how it will perform. Okay, it's time to put it together. I'll start with the assembly of the piston. The hole in the piston is slightly larger than the pin in the head, but after tightening, everything fits as it should. Now the cylinder assembly. I apply silicone grease to the cylinder head bumper and some silicone oil to the cylinder itself. Despite proper lubrication, fitting the head into the cylinder is not an easy task, but we can be sure that there will be no leakage in this place. What's left is to lubricate the piston head. I always put a bit into groove in the head and on the O-ring itself. I can check for leaks now. As I mentioned, the head seals thanks to the large ventilation holes and the fast movement of the piston. In case of a slow movement, I can insert the piston without any problems. The system itself is perfectly sealed. Let's check the seal with the nozzle. Before that, I'll lightly lubricate the cylinder head nozzle and the O-ring on the nozzle. As you can see, the set keeps the seal perfectly, so in case of the inserted and fully extended nozzle, the play between the element is as follows. The pneumatics are ready, now let's deal with the barrel assembly. Now my replica has a rotary SAH chamber and a standard barrel. I put a bit of silicone grease on the barrel so that the backing seals nicely. I can now install it, but before that I will also slightly lubricate the backing from the outside. In the chamber itself, I uninstalled the arm. After removing it, two holes are visible. The square one is for the knob, and the round task is to get the BB in the right place in the chamber. The assembly of the barrel with the backing was not difficult. You can clearly feel that the ribs on the backing give more resistance, which should give us better seal without the popular Teflon fix. Interestingly, the ring I received with the chamber does not fit the barrel. I could have played with sanding it, but I preferred to mount another one. The clip snaps into place, but unfortunately has a little slack. In the set with the chamber we get a standard round knob, but due to the shape of the contact element, I would rather recommend a flat knob. With the chamber, of course, we get a spring. In case of my Spetsna Arms SAB12 from 1 series, the spring is too long and I had to use O-rings. Speaking of the O-rings, in the set with the barrel we get 3 of them, and they are mounted in the visible grooves, which, as I mentioned, help to stabilize the barrel in the outer barrel. In the Spetsna Arms gearbox shell, the part sits nicely and the cylinder head has almost no play, and the cylinder itself sits tightly and does not rotate around its axis. Time for chrono and shooting test. I chronoed the replica on an old spring which in the 2018, when the replica was new, gave about 1.49 joules. As you can see, it compressed a bit and now gives about 1.34 joules. The FPS spread on 0.28 gram BBs is about 3 to 4 FPS. The maximum range that I was able to achieve is 60 meters. From the distance I was able to hit a target of the size of a human torso. The real test, however, was during the real game. During this skirmish I had a weaker spring which gives about 0.84 joules, and despite this the range was quite good, because it reaches about 40 meters, and I've installed a flat knob which improved the accuracy even more. To sum up, the Slong brand parts that I tested fit together very well, which should be predictable from the parts of the same manufacturer. But the only problem I had was that the barrel stabilizing ring did not fit, and the hop-up chamber spring was too long. But the latter could be also related to the replica in which I installed it. Other M4s may not have this problem. The only thing I would change is that I would grind teeth a bit on the piston bar to evade a potential cylinder scratching. Smooth the edges in the cylinder itself, and it will be nice to get a flat knob with the backing, which would be a better in this case.
So answering the question asked earlier, what would happen if we would upgrade our replica with parts from one manufacturer? In case of the parts from Slong, it turns out we will get a pretty nice working replica. But of course, it doesn't have to be a rule. Remember that in each replica the effect may be slightly different, as the manufacturers do not keep the same dimensions as, for example, is in my Spetsna Arms SAB12. Would I recommend Slong parts? Rather yes. I like the piston the most, because it looks really tough. The cylinder head, due to the bumper design and the fact that it gives such a great seal, and it fits nicely in the Spetsna Arms 1 series shell. The barrel, which is made of steel, is quite universal thanks to the cutouts and has several grooves for stabilizing O-rings. And the backing, which with the appropriate knob gives quite nice results. Let me know in the comments what do you think about parts from Slong, and what experience do you have with them. And for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.